Hello, hello! In this episode of Let's Stitch, we'll be making the illustrious Pokemon Torracat, a great fire starter from a generation that I think many Poke fans wish they could go back to. And you can. The game still exists, you can play it anytime you want, nobody's stopping you from doing that. But the point is that we're stitching up a magical flame link, so you better buckle up, it's just a safe practice in general. I don't know, was that intro good, or?
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Torracat. I literally just said that. Alright, on this doll I'll be using 5 orange socks, 2 dark gray socks, 1 regular gray sock, 1 yellow sock, some black scrap fabric, a bunch of stuffing, and for the assemblage, I'm gonna need needles, thread, a pair of buttons, scissors, pins, and some orange fabric dye. Now, why do I need orange dye for orange socks? Because the socks I ordered aren't the right shade of orange. So I'm gonna shove those into a pot of simmering water with a splash of dye. If you've never dyed fabric before, you want to get it a bit darker than what you're aiming for because it's gonna dry to a lighter color. And make sure you wash the fabric after to get any excess dye out of the fibers. You can see I put 1 sock in the pot a little late, and it didn't soak up as much dye, but we really don't need it. But now, we're ready to get to work! So let's take one of our orange socks here, stretch it out a little, since it just came out of the wash, and we'll start with the body. The center, usually a good place to start, sets a gauge for the rest of the doll. And you can see Torracat's torso is a bit of a bean shape, so we're going to help guide that shape a little bit. First, let's turn it inside out, lay it flat to, okay, maybe blur this part out. And so I'm sticking some pins in here to pinch up the waist part. Then I can put a stitch right across it to decrease the amount that the sock can stretch in this area. I'm using a running stitch a lot in this video, but I've since started using the back stitch, which is just a more secure way to lock the stitches together. I've posted tutorials on what stitches I use in other videos. Maybe you can, I don't know, check those out, maybe. Let's close up this little bean with the ladder stitch, which is a great stitch for when you're trying to join fabric from the right side out. And there's the bean boy. So, in theory, the dark gray sock should line up just right on the orange sock if I cut it at the same spot, right around the heel. You may be wondering why I got a sock with all this patterning on it. Just a preference. Some artistic liberties of the medium. I think breaking up the color blocking is a good touch. A little bit adds charm to the doll. Anyway, I'm actually not going to use this yet. Moving on, let's map out the hind legs with another orange sock. I usually strive for as few seams as possible, so I want each leg to be just a single piece. And since I like to do most things by eye, my back legs aren't quite symmetrical, but come on, I mean, everybody's got a dominant leg. This Torracat just, it skips half of leg day. Just one side. For the tiny fills, I've got a chopstick to help push stuffing into the corners that my fingers can't reach. Any utensil will do the job, really. Just avoid anything that may put a hole in the fabric. So you do this part basically 4 times. Okay. And look at that! It's already some good progress. Now let's grab some of this dark sock again. Charcoal. We'll call it charcoal. And these chevrons here are nice because they'll help us drive home the shape of our head. So we'll cut out the head with ears attached, right? Flip that and stitch around the ears, just leaving a hole in the center where the ears would meet because, we gotta flip it right side out again. After stuffing it up, I feel like the ears are, a little tall, a little thin, but I'm gonna ignore that for a little while because I'm in denial. To do the whiskers, I am gonna make a pattern so I don't screw it up like a stupid idiot. Now this is gonna take up most of a sock, Sometimes a sock will be a different texture on the foot compared to the ankle. If that were the case here, I would just stitch 2 feet together, probably, and do the pattern that way. Sock choice is important, you know? I mean, it's not the end-all. Sometimes working with what you got helps you get a little bit more creative, get the juices going. We turned this piece inside out, by the way. Gotta keep those seams on the inside. And instead of leaving a hole for us to turn this right side out again, we're just gonna close it all the way up. And on the back side, we'll make a little snip, like so. And then we can use our little chop to flip it and push out all the little whiskers. Once it's all fluffed up, we'll stitch our 2 pieces together. Here I am, trying to pretend those ears are gonna be all right. And we'll ignore that again. No. Okay, we gotta fix them. Normally I would undo the stitching, resize it, stitch it together, but then I was kind of messing around and whoop. You know, I think that's gonna float. And we'll use a ladder stitch to secure that. That was me cracking my knee while I was recording audio. And we'll use the ladder stitch to secure that shape. And how about that? That's so convenient. Now the rest of the face will be kind of like sculpting. We're taking little pieces and piling them on to build out the depth. And the black fabric is for the distinctive dark circles under the eyes. And again, I've got a pattern for this because while making an oval seems like a simple task, apparently I can't handle it. Anyway, that's another component I'll put to the side for a bit. Let's knock out the stuff for the gray sock. I'm jumping around a lot, and it may seem as though I don't know what I'm doing. And that's true, but with the gray stuff done, I want to tackle the mouth. Actually, I don't want to. I dislike embroidering quite a lot. It's very tedious, but it's a necessary component to doll making. This is the back stitch I'm using here, going slowly. My chopstick helps keep the thread evenly taut. That clean stitch is really important. Like, I cannot stress enough. Like, this is one of those things you really don't want to have to do again. So now, I can throw on my dark eye circles and the yellow eyes on top. Things are really coming together at this point. The orange face markings can go on. The big front paws have to get crafted and attached to the front legs, so we'll do that now. The toes of my socks work pretty well for the feet, go figure. And some little cones cut out for the claws. Toe beans, crafted from the black scrap. Tiny stuff, but you know, it's not bad if you take it slowly. And we can't forget about this tiger's stripes. Just taking some bands cut from whatever charcoal sock is left over. And assemblage is starting to happen. Our last big appendage is the tail. Now the tail is basically a foot, but our paw is going to be more like a crab claw with one small point and one large point. The remaining points will be attached separately. If I could do all the tufts on the end of the tail in a single piece, I definitely would, but we really want to build out the dimension so that the tail is interesting from all angles. Final piece. The little round bell that sits under the chin is a two-part process. The inside is orange sock. The running stitch is good for this to zip a little circle around the fabric and make a baby purse bag out of it. No need to tuck the edges in because this part's going to be all covered up. I could do the exact same thing for the outer part, the yellow part, but it seemed like a waste based on the fabric I had left. So I took a big ring out of the ankle and we can just purse that up. So now just one side is open, and stick the orange ball inside. Ladder stitch is going to close that one up for us. It looks dang nice! And ladder stitch that on. Kind of tough to get in there, but we've come this far. No balls are going to stop us now. Oh, and I remembered that I never stitched the buttons on, so let's end with that. I usually like ending with the eyes. I think about building the heart and personalities of every doll, and the eyes are such an important part of any creature, you know? The doll's no different. So it's like putting a little cherry on top. Just like that. There we have it. The perfect little doll for the perfect little Pokemon fan. Boy, oh boy. Wasn't that a great time we all just had? Here's a funny thing. I filmed this video months ago before moving into my new house. I don't even have that doll anymore. I sold it. The only reason I'm filming this right now is because I forgot to film an intro sequence at the time. But I did film an outro sequence, and I'm going to give a clip of that to you right now. I've got a lot of cleanup to do this time around. Aren't my videos freaking great?